Well, thank you for joining. I'm Nancy. I'm with PeopleTech as our channel manager. Just a few housekeeping rules today. This recording will be available after the webinar and on our website. We will send out the presentation as well afterwards. And then if you have any questions throughout the session, please do type it in the question and answers portion, and we will have a section at the end where we will answer them. But during the session, please do type in your questions and we'll get to it at the end. So today we have three speakers: Jegadesh Suthar, a senior solutions architect with AWS; Jegadesh Sankar, our director of cloud and infrastructure at PeopleTech; and Abdel AbouFariss, our senior cloud architect with PeopleTech. And here is Jegadesh to go over our agenda.
Excellent. Thanks, Nancy. Hey guys, thank you everyone for joining. So we got kind of a mixed kind of crowd. So joining from, we have people who are architects, people from the development background, and we got a lot of decision makers and CXOs on the call today. So the agenda is going to be talking about how you can modernize your .NET application with AWS. We are going to be covering sections both which will be applicable for the CXOs as well as for the decision makers, and we'll also be covering a little bit more in technical. So the first point that we have here is to talk about our company. It's not to spend a lot of time there, but just to give a quick introduction about PeopleTech, and then we'll move on and we'll talk about what are the options that you have to modernize your .NET applications with AWS. We'll quickly look at some of those tools and services which will help you accelerate your migration journey. And we'll get into a demo, and then we'll actually show you how to containerize your application. And that's, yes, we are going to show you real quick on how easy it is to containerize your applications with AWS. So stay tuned for that. My colleague Abdel would kind of chime in, and he would be explaining a little bit more in detail on that side. And once we're done with that, we will bring Jegadesh, who is for the AWS solution architect, and he will talk about why we should consider AWS as a cloud platform to modernize your .NET applications. And then we'll talk through some of those success stories, how this was done successfully for other customers. And then we'll also talk about how PeopleTech can, as an AWS partner, can help you guys with your acceleration journey. And since you guys are joining us and staying throughout the call, we'll also talk about some of those exciting programs that we are offering for just the participants for this webinar. So please stay tuned until end of the session, and we'll talk about the specific programs on how we can help you to accelerate your journey. And of course, we'll also take your question and answer towards the end, so feel free to start putting in questions. So real quick, I've been with PeopleTech for about 8 years now. And in fact, I came through a company called Firesoft, which was acquired by PeopleTech. And one of my goals is to help customers modernize their data center and their applications. And that's what pretty much I do. Let's take a quick look at who we are as a company. We are about 2,000 plus employees, a very strong company. And we have excellent case studies and long-lasting relationship with Fortune 500 customers. In fact, 70% of our business comes from Fortune 50 companies. And we are also one of those partners who built the HMI interface, which is the human machine interface, the whole digital dashboard that runs on GM cars. So that's currently being built, and it's rolled out to about 14 million cars on the road right now. So we are mostly a tech-focused company. We focus heavily on the technology area and the transformational journeys. So that's what we do. And we are a strategic partner for AWS, and we are a partner with Microsoft and all the other major cloud service providers as well. Here's a quick journey on how we have grown as a company. We are Seattle based. We are founded in the year 2006. And since the inception, we have been growing mostly with mergers and acquisitions and rapidly adding customers. In fact, some of our customers are really staying with us for more than 10 to 15 years. And in 2015, we acquired a company called Firesoft, which is specialized more on the data center modernization and application migrations to cloud. And we did large-scale migrations for Expedia and Waters Clouvers. Those are some of those flagship customers where we did a whole application modernization success story and case studies with them. And we also reached AWS Advanced Consulting Partner in the year 2018. And since then, we have been focused heavily on the AWS platform and helping customers move to AWS platform as well. So just a quick snapshot of our customer view. As you can see, there's a broader set of customers here. So across multiple verticals, starting from Amazon and Microsoft themselves, and we have several customers on the healthcare side, as well as the education, as well as on the government side of things. So we are not vertical based, we are a technology company, and that's what pretty much we do. And one of the key value proposition that we bring in is we work closely with both Amazon and AWS. So in fact, we have our engineers working with Amazon to develop some of those cloud platforms that Amazon and Microsoft are currently building. So we really bring in all that knowledge to our service delivery to help our customers with their migration journey. So that's a little bit about who we are in terms of the company. Now let's quickly talk through the .NET modernization journey, and let's get to the core meat of this webinar. So let's talk about modernizing your legacy application built on .NET. And of course, we all know there are multiple options and opportunities available for us to modernize the applications. So if we look at the slide, we talk about the top layer is your application layer, and the bottom one is your database layer. So let's talk about what are the options available. Of course, we can do a rehost of applications, where you would convert your existing .NET application and you'll take your database on-prem. It could be either running on on-prem physical or your VMs, and we can move them to the cloud and run it on an AWS EC2 instance. So that's a quick and easy way of moving things to cloud, but we all know that's not optimal for the business benefit, although some of the applications in your environment might fall into this specific category. So there is no code change involved. You're just lifting your application from on-prem and you're rehosting them onto the cloud. Now, most of the customers at their initial journey, they would consider doing a rehost as a quick win scenario, but we will kind of go to the next slide and talk about why this may not be a right idea to move all your applications to cloud by just rehosting. The second option that you do have is to replatform your application, where you are changing the underlying compute environment, where you move it to more of a container-based approach. And we'll be talking a little bit more in detail and hands-on lab on how to do containers a little bit later. But that's an opportunity that you would have to migrate your applications and still take advantage of the cloud platform by containerizing your applications. So here again, there is no code changes involved. You're simply porting your application to the cloud, and you're kind of removing the dependencies on your underlying core infrastructure. And on the database side, you can always move to a managed database like a SQL Server, Amazon RDS for SQL Server. So that's an option that you do have to move your databases to AWS. Now, the last option is where we come in and we talk about refactoring your application. So there is definitely a lot of advantages that you would get when you refactor your application. Just to name a few, you will definitely have a lot of options to for license freedom and porting your codes to different platforms. It is a cross-platform support is something which you'll definitely get when you do refactor your application. And when we say refactor, we are talking about moving your .NET applications to .NET Core. So that's what we are talking about. So basically, you move your on-prem to cloud. It's basically to VMs, or you have replatform where you move your VMs to containers. or you can move directly your .NET Core to .NET Core to a .NET Core applications. So that's something which you would take significant advantage. We'll talk about that a little bit later. And to move on, we also talk about the database side of things. When you move to refactoring, so basically you're converting your SQL instances to Aurora or DynamoDB. So that's your database migration options when you modernize your applications. Now, let's quickly move on to the next slide. And let's talk about how that .NET modernization journey looks like. So on this slide, on the x-axis, we have efforts, and then on y, we have the value. So when you basically take your application and move it on to either an EC2 instance on AWS, you're actually moving it quickly, but you don't get a lot of value. But when you actually move them to containers on EC2 instances, then of course, there are certain efforts involved, and you would go high in the value chain. But you will really start seeing more value when you actually do containers. And then once you reach the container stage, then you do have option to change your .NET framework to .NET Core. So that's where you are actually removing the dependencies on your compute, and you can definitely go cross-platform, and you can now run your .NET Core on your Linux containers. So that gives definitely a lot of flexibility for customers to move their code, and you're not dependent on just the platform itself. Now, the next thing that we see most commonly customers do is to convert their monolithic applications to microservices. This is something which would definitely drive a lot of business value, but when you do convert your monolithics to microservices, there are a lot of efforts involved to understand the business logic for your applications, segregate those business logics, and then convert them to monoliths. So that's definitely takes a lot of time, but you would truly start seeing more value when you convert applications to monoliths. So monoliths to microservices. Now, the higher up value chain, you definitely got .NET Core applications. You can truly remove all your dependencies on the compute, and you can go for serverless with AWS Lambda. So that's something which you do have options, and it is supported as well. So we definitely want all our applications to be running on .NET Core with AWS Lambda, but this is a journey, right? So it's not that we take an application and move directly to .NET Core with AWS Lambda. It is a journey that a customer goes through, and this journey also depends on what kind of application that you're currently running on your environment, and you really need to see what approach would work out for a specific applications. Now let me move on, and let me quickly show you some of those decision trees that you will want to consider when you migrate your .NET application. The first option is, of course, Rehost. You can basically take your .NET applications, evaluate and see, is this an app which you wanted to run it on VM or containers? If this is not suitable for a containers, then you can definitely take them and see if you want that to be fully managed by yourself, or you want AWS to be managing it. If you want every control on yourself, then you can put it directly on an Amazon EC2 instance and start managing it just like how we are currently doing it on-prem. But if you want Amazon to manage it, then you can put it on Elastic Beanstalk. Now let's quickly move through and look at the other side of track. What are the options available on the containers? Now this slide talks about both rehosting and replatform in the same slide. We already covered the rehosting option. Now let's look at the journey for containers. Now, when you want to do containers, you do have a couple of options. Either consider, are you going to run your .NET framework as in on the cloud, or are you going to convert them to .NET Core? If you wanted to directly use .NET framework, then you can obviously put it on Kubernetes, and you can either run it on Kubernetes managed Windows container, or you can directly put it on Amazon Elastic Cloud Services, and you can put it on, you can host that on Windows containers. So that's an option available for you. But if you do want to convert them to .NET Core, then that's where you would have platform independent. Either you can go for a Linux or a Windows platform. So let's go through and talk about how we can do refactor for your application. Now, on this specific demo, we'll be covering more on this side of the section where we will show you how to replatform and how to containerize your apps. But let's see how the refactor journey looks like. Now, if you do decide that as part of your refactoring, you wanted to move it to Linux, then you do have option to target for serverless functionality. So basically, you can leverage AWS Lambda and achieve serverless functionality. Or if you wanted to do serverless containers, then you can obviously put it on Kubernetes and leverage AWS Fargate with EKS and manage Linux container. Or you can put it on AWS Fargate with ECS, and you can put it on Linux container. So those are some of those options available for refactoring. As we said, not all these options might be suitable for your applications. You really need to take a journey based on a specific application and then find out what is the right approach for a specific application to be modernized. It could be just a rehost or replatform immediately. And then on a long run, you can consider refactoring. But these are some of those options that are available for you to choose for a .NET application. Now, let's quickly move on, and then I'll have my colleague come in and talk about some of those modernization tools and how you can really start doing your containers with a demo. So Abdel, I would request you to take it from here.
Thank you, Jegadesh. Let me just introduce myself. My name is Abdel AbouFariss. I'm with PeopleTech, solution architect. I've been in IT for about 20 years, and that gives you a good idea how old I am. For the last 6 years, though, I've been involved quite a lot, heavily with the cloud, mainly AWS. I helped a few clients, major companies such as McDonald's Corporation, Blue Cross, Blue Shield in Iowa, Johnson Control. Basically, I was part of the team to help them go through the migration journey from on-prem to the cloud. And one of the areas I've been focusing quite a lot is automation and modernization as well. These services that I really back then when I was before cloud was a cloud, I did not have the privilege of to work with the cloud and the services that they provide today. So I take that really, I put a lot of emphasis on automation modernization to help the client and make sure that we provide them with using the best services that AWS can offer in order to make their application seamlessly working well in the cloud and ready to be promoted in the market. As you know, cloud is empower us with a lot of great services to build infrastructure in no time, but we have the choice. We have the choice as engineers whether we can use the cloud manually, because a lot of services can be done manually, or we can use leverage the automation and use that instead. So I prefer to use automation because, like I said, the services that we have today, we didn't have them back then. So I take a really, religiously, I do the best I can to leverage automation into deploying applications. We take advantage of that technology that offers by the AWS. As far as automation is concerned, we use a CI/CD pipeline to automate deployment and product and make it available in the market. Modernization tools and services. What does it mean? It's really a lot of people say, well, I have an application running on-prem today. What can you do for me to make that particular application? What's the benefits? Okay, the benefits are quite a lot. For instance, if I take if I take a car that's a 1965 Chevy, a classic car, right? Everything is manual, right? with today, if I have a more modern car, like let's say if I have a BMW, which is surrounded with high-tech gadgets, from dashboard to the engine, and it is safe to say that I'm driving a modern today. Reason is because I see a lot of benefits of driving a modern car. First, if I get stuck in the middle of nowhere, the modern car, it gives me an opportunity to drive for another 40, 50 minutes, 4 miles, in order to maybe hopefully I can find a gas station. If I get an accident, we have airbags that can help protect ourselves. I mean, the benefits on and on. I can go on and on a list. It's somewhat similar when I can take the benefits from driving a classic car versus having an application that sits on an on-prem. You lack a lot of great services if you keep it there on the prem. First, HA. You don't have the opportunity to make the application high availability. You don't have a way of making the application like a deployment using CI/CD pipeline. If a failover using a failover technology, you are very limited. Whereas I can have the same application on the cloud, I can have it working, running 24/7 regardless. If let's say for AZ and one availability zone goes down for a reason, I can point it to a second AZ. So my application is running at the end of the day, almost no downtime. So these are really great benefits of the cloud that provided us. The other thing is the application today are we have to break down the monolith, kind of break it, decouple the application, so be able to take pieces and maintain pieces rather than having one package, and which gets very challenging. Like for instance, if I'm using one of the ERP systems like Oracle or SAP, it gets very, very challenging to maintain the application because it's all one and one package. It gets very challenging. So having application on the cloud, it reduces costs. That's one thing is very crucial as well. You can build security around the application. You can integrate tightly with DevOps. Folks at DevOps can work together and collectively in a way that makes the deployment seamlessly. Speaking of modernization, AWS provide us with some great tools and services to make that happen. So that's one of the things that I'm saying. Traditionally, I wouldn't be able to do that. Today, cloud is great, but unless we take advantage of those technology, we're not taking full advantage of it. So, for instance, the demo, which I'm gonna go over in a few minutes, we have this service called App to Container, another service called App Runner. So basically, these services enable us to take a traditional legacy application and put it into container. You can put customize a Docker container, and you can put it into even other services such as EKS. I mean, the options, the list we have is enormous, and it's up to us to take advantage of that. The services. The other advantages, it makes use the agile agility. You develop and deploy fast. The architect as far as the achieving business goals. The other benefits, it's build and operate utilizing proven ecosystem for the cloud native tooling. Portability, it's portable and it scales well. As far as deployment is concerned. And then from operation, it's very efficient. It reduces IT operational overhead and achieve optimized compute infrastructure once the application is on the cloud. So if you could basically thank you. So basically just to summarize what in that slide. So we have the service it's app to container that we can use to leverage and help us to deploy our existing cards or legacy application seamlessly to the cloud using containers, the service such as ECS. So here, what I'd like to do is basically what myself I talked about and what Jegadesh described. We're gonna put that into a quick demo to show you how we can take a legacy application from on-prem to AWS in a matter of 30 minutes. It's very, I mean, when I saw that first time, I was very impressed of what AWS has offered in terms of taking legacy application and migrate it to the cloud in no time. So if I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. Could you please verify that you can see my screen here?
You're good, Abdel.
It's good, thank you. Okay, so I'm gonna just maximize my server here, and let's see. You see, I'm gonna say hello. Make sure that you see my you see that well. The font, everything looks good.
We can see it. Can you make it a little bit bigger?
Sure.
Thank you.
Let me do that. Let's see, properties. If I go to fonts. Big enough? Let's see.
Wonderful, thank you.
All right, you're welcome. Let's make sure I have there we go. So let me make sure. So what we are gonna accomplish in this quick demo. So we're gonna take a quick application. Let me show you the application. So we know what we're trying to accomplish. I'm just gonna move it here. So make sure. This application is called eCommerce. This is open source on GitHub. So we're gonna. This is actually I can take this application and go actually to a live online, just so you can see, get an idea about the application here. And this is live application, as you can see. It's an e-commerce website. Okay. So these folks are been using this application for years and years, and it's a popular .NET application. So we're going to take advantage of this open source code, and basically what I'm going to do, I'm going to put I'm building this server. This server, think of it as this server is an on-prem. So I'm going to install this application locally and then push it to the cloud. So the installation, all that I've already done that, so we don't take too much of the POC. So just would like to show you the application that is locally it is running, which I'm gonna, let's see if I have to go to localhost and just go to browser, and I should be able to see the application. This is what you're gonna see. It's hopefully it comes. Here we go. So basically, this is not a data center per se, but we're basically replicating a data center. So I built the server, and this is locally, as you can see here. It's a local host. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to push this application to AWS using app to container. Okay, so this is a quick cPanel, which is basically it builds the website that I showed you a minute ago, and you provide the SQL Server name and the user, the database name, and all that good stuff. You hit install, then it builds the website for you. But that's not the part of POC. We're not going to build a website. Our objective is to show you how we can migrate this website to the cloud. Okay. So I'm going to go back here. I'm going to do some checking here. First, I want to make sure my the images are working as expected. I'm just going to do a Docker images. So as you can see here, this is the component ECR. Actually, it sits on my US East one. This is ECR. That's basically it's an image container that I have already set up on my account. It is the size is close to about 8 gig. Okay, and I also have a Microsoft here that is another container that we're using in combination to get this working properly. So I'm just gonna clear that. So the next thing we're gonna do, let me just show you what I'm following. So this way you see this POC that I actually used from, let me make sure you can see this. Can you see that well? Okay. So here is the actually this is a workshop from the AWS app to container hands-on workshop that AWS they were kind enough to provide us with this a workshop. So the cloning, I already done that. Creating a website in local IIS, it's already done that. I just showed you the website. I was able to bring it online locally. Install app to container, I already done that. Now initialize app to container. This is the part we're gonna do here. Actually, if I click here, it should take me to this command. Okay, so we're gonna just type this command and let's see, let me see if I can have both of them working at the same time. What is my, did I minimize that? Let's see, I'm trying to see what I did with my, where did it go? Okay, so yeah, so I just want to just show you the somehow I lost my my workshop, but that's okay. So we can go ahead and do app to container init. Okay, so basically what app to container init what's gonna do. We are gonna deploy this application to the cloud, right? However, we need to tell it which region this application is gonna reside in. We need to tell it which account, right? So we have to make sure which account we can have multiple accounts. We can have prod, dev, and staging. So we have to tell which account. So this app init is gonna help us to do that. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and run that. Here, this is it's app to container. It's giving me a staging area, if you will. So this is where all the logs and artifacts is going to be stored. So I'm just going to use default. Okay. Here, same thing. Configure the profile. Profile is basically what I said a minute ago. It will allow me to tell my my application where to go. I wanted to go to this particular account and this particular region. So that is already done. Actually, let me show you quickly here. That's something I did upfront, but I just want to show you. So this is, I run AWS config, I put the key, that's the key that I create from my account. Secret key, I hid that. Somebody, in case somebody can hack it, but the main thing, I have to provide the key information. And as you can see here, I'm telling it which region is gonna go to, okay? And this part is already done. So, I'm gonna go ahead and hit enter. S3 bucket, this is where we're going to put the artifacts, the app to container artifacts, and they have to go somewhere, and also some CloudFormation template is going to be created for us. So we have to tell it which where it's going to reside in somewhere in the cloud. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you my account. And that's let's see here, bring it here. And actually, I already created this. So let's go back to S3. Okay, and I created a bucket called app to container bucket. Okay, and I'm gonna take the name that I created, and I'm gonna use that. Okay, let's see if I can paste it. Perfect. Make sure I just want to go back, make sure I don't have any spaces here. Okay. So basically, this is the container that I already created, and then all the artifacts are going to go there. Report users metric to AWS, yes, no. Again, this is a POC. If I was in production, definitely I will yes, but this is a POC, so it really doesn't matter. Same thing here, upload logs, generate artifacts on a crash. It doesn't matter, but if I was in production, definitely I need to make sure that I get the logs. Same thing here, whether I'm going to use the Docker content trust, yes or no. If I was in production, I definitely will say yes, but I'm just going to say no. And basically the step initializing is done. Okay, so I'm just going to clear the screen here. And we go to the next step. So my next step here is we're gonna do let's see, so I'm looking for the inventory. Okay, so next step, we're gonna have to analyze our application, and in order to do that, I wish if I had my the doc that just disappeared on me. I was following that, but that's fine. So this is a quick so the next step is to analyze the application. What analyze does, it's basically it will you have to tell it which application, because this server can have .NET app, you can have Java, you can have any kind of application type, right? But I need to know which one I need to get the application ID. A nice thing about this service, app to container, it provides me with the app ID. So in order to do that, I have to run inventory before I do the analyze. This way I can get an idea, my app ID, before I do that. Here we go. Let me just make sure, because I have the screen a little bit big. So as you can see here, it did find this default website. I did not create that. It was just part of the server installation. So this is not the one we are working with. However, if I can get your attention here, this is my application, eCommerce. This is the one I installed. This one I configured, and it is up and running. Please note here, I have app ID, which is really nice. So this is basically, it's going to help me identify my application to move forward to deploy it to the cloud. So if I do copy and put the note here, actually I did this, or it should be the same. Perfect, it's right there. So I'll just put it in my note there, because I'm going to use it moving forward in this workshop. So now we're going to do analyze. So let's analyze. Actually, I did inventory. So here's analyze. Analyze, this is what AWS, let me, can you see that? I should make sure the fonts are big enough. Let's see. There we go, format, fonts. If I do 20 here. So the workshop I was following a minute ago, I somehow I lost it, but I do have my notes here, so we're good. So what the workshop gives me, it says, okay, you need to do analyze, and you have to provide, this is the tag, you have to provide the app ID, and we have to put app ID here. As I just showed you a minute ago, we did grab the app ID from running the inventory. So I replace this default value with the app ID that I got from inventory. So I'm going to go ahead and copy that and run it here. Analyze application SI, and here we go. Let's see. So while that is running, let's see. I will prepare for the next command. Okay. So while this is running, the next command we're gonna do is, so this is containerize, right? That's actually this one we're doing right now is analyze. And the next command we're gonna run is to containerize the application. So we are basically we're gonna take the application and put it into container, if you will. A container could be customized Docker. You have the option to do that, or you can use the default. So this process is done, which is good. So make sure, here we go, we got a good analysis successful for the application. That's good. What I'm gonna do, because I would like to show you a JSON file here, but I would like to run that because the process takes a little bit time. So I'm gonna go ahead and run the to containerize. I can't get that saying right, containerize. Here we go. So I need to get that running. And while this running, I would like to show you the file there because that's very important. There are some items that I'd like to show you there. So I'm going to go ahead and run containerize. Failed to contain. Okay. Did I miss something here? Let's see. Start the containerize. Okay. All right. Actually, let me use this command. It's a nice this service. It's actually gave me the command that is already there. So let's see if I can try that. Okay. So containerize application ID. So what is going on here?
All right, I think it's all fun when live demos are.
Request check
right?
failed. Double check your AWS credential.
So Abdel, why don't you take care of that and run the containerization command while we go through and talk about why AWS containerize with AWS, and then we'll come back and you can show us the finished product.
Sure.
Sounds great. I would love to introduce Jegadesh Suthar, and then he'll go over why AWS for .NET modernization.
Hey Nancy, thank you. Let me know if you can see my screen.
Not yet.
I need to stop sharing. Okay, okay, good.
All right. I'm getting you up.
Are you able to see my screen?
Yep, you're all ready, Jegadesh.
Perfect. So while Abdel is troubleshooting that issue with app to container, but app to container is it's a really good, it's a very cool tool which can help you to containerize your legacy applications within no time, and can help you to host it on AWS cloud, either on ECS or EKS. And tools like app to container can be one of the reasons, right? Why you want to modernize with AWS, but it might not be alone, or it might not be enough, right? Reason. So, and I can give you many other reasons to justify why to modernize with AWS. But probably the most important and the key reason is the innovation, right? As you know, AWS was the first major cloud provider to offer Windows Server in 2008. That is 4 years before Azure. And since then, we launched 275 instance types with 200 different armies for Windows, so that our customer can choose the one which fits best for their business needs. Last year alone, we launched around 69, new features for Windows workloads. And you can see AWS is innovating at an unprecedented rate. So to us, innovation is the major factor for modernization. Further, what we have noticed is that modernization conversations are becoming mainstream. And with these challenging times, customers, they have to innovate, to serve their customers. And as a result, the executive level modernization conversations, they have gone up by at least 23%. And the modernization conversations, they have transcended, from the management level to the executive level. And increasing, a modernization, adoption leads to, increasing economic value. From our customers' data, we typically see at least 20% savings in the unit cost of CPU cycle with just a lift and shift migration to cloud infrastructure. And as our customers, as they continue to optimize their cloud instances through right sizing, license optimization, and selecting the base pricing model for their users' behavior, they typically see another 10 to 20% savings. And finally, by adopting higher level of modernization approaches and services, our customers they experience further cost savings, which may with many seeing savings as high as 60% by taking advantage of AWS cloud native services. And these savings, they can be redirected or reinvested into driving more innovation and value adding activities. And on this slide you can see there are many logos, many customers representing some of our key customers who have successfully modernized with AWS. And we are seeing an increasing number of customers moving from Windows and modernizing their applications on open source software or AWS cloud native technologies. And these customers are across wide range of industries and geographies. They have all chosen a variety of different pathways to modernize their Windows workload, but they have one thing in common, right? They have achieved their business outcomes by modernizing with AWS. So let me dive into specific customer stories for database modernization as well as application modernization. So let's look at some of the database modernization stories. Some of our customers they chose to move from SQL Server and other commercial databases to AWS RDS like a Kaplan and Instacart. They get a level of control and standardization with an out-of-the-box API-based, fully managed production-ready database that is secure as well as scalable. And they are able to reduce the time needed on day-to-day maintenance, so that their engineers they can focus on real value-add activities like building and improving their applications for better customer experience. Customer like Intuit, who migrated from SQL Server to Amazon Redshift, to reduce data processing timelines and get better, fast insights to their customers and decision makers. Other customers like Dow Jones and Verizon, they moved from SQL Server to Amazon Aurora, and end up reducing their processing times, significantly with a higher performance at a fraction of the cost, right? By saving, SQL Server licensing cost. And as you can see, many of our customers they have chosen variety of different ways to modernize their database workload, or I would say SQL Server workloads with a great business outcomes. So finally, let's look at some of the application modernization stories. Here we have a really good success stories from our ISV segment like FileForce and AgriDigital. Both of these customers they chose to modernize their .NET framework legacy applications by refactoring them using .NET Core. and move away from Windows to Linux. SIGGIG, they decided to use Microsoft .NET Core and C#, and in addition to Linux and Postgre, to create industry shifting integration platform that connects suppliers and sellers. Other customer culture team, they decided to go for AWS a cloud development kit, a CDK, to fully automate and provisioning of AWS Fargate services with supporting databases and user roles in in a repeatable fashion. Another customer, Fileforce, they reduced their licensing cost by as high as 30% by modernizing with .NET Core and Linux, and getting rid of Windows. And they started delivering new software features in within weeks instead of a quarterly basis by fully automating most of their code deployments. And finally, Agri Digital, their .NET architecture was a monolith, not to build, to scale, and it was needed, a modernization. So to achieve their expansion goal, and they modernized their technology platform similarly by using .NET Core, Amazon Aurora, and they started running their workloads at least 50% faster on AWS, which is leading to a better experience for their customer and other supply chain customer using their applications. So you can see, the whole modernization efforts, they pay, for itself. In the long run, it will help you not only to build, applications which are highly performant, but, it will also help you to do, a cost optimization. So if you are looking for modernizing your technology platform, please feel free to reach out to our consulting partner, PeopleTech. They have some, cool offers for you to, accelerate your modernization efforts. Over to you, Jegadesh.
Excellent. Thanks, Jegadesh. I'm going to just share my screen real quick, and then we'll look at what we have in terms of call to action. And then, sorry guys, we couldn't do the demo, but as a backup, we do have the demo recorded. So we are going to share the recordings with you guys, but let me just quickly bring up my screen. You should see my slide. Here we go. So in terms of quick call to action, definitely we would encourage you guys to revisit your .NET application and identify one of the first application that you can start containerizing. So these are some of those. The app to container is an excellent tool. We have done that with several customers, and it does modernize applications quickly in terms of putting them to containers and then bringing the containers up. You can really do this in a day, but I would really recommend you choose one application and then run through the app to container tool, and we can definitely share some of those documentation with you guys as well, and then start considering containerizing your applications first. Now, to get this process going much faster, what we have done is we have put together a specific PeopleTech Cloud Accelerator program. So if you're just kind of getting started, what we would recommend is start with something called OLA, which is Optimization and License Assessment. So this is an assessment program which could help you understand what are your licensing cost implications when you move to containers, and what you need to do in terms of right sizing your VMs on the cloud, right sizing resources on the cloud. That's something which would definitely come as an outcome of this tool. So if you're just starting in terms of your migration journey, we would recommend you start with the OLA program. The second one is the workshop that we could offer to containerize one of your applications. So this is our AWS experts working with your technical team to containerize one of the application. So that's a program that we offer for people who have joined this call. And if you are just getting started, if AWS is something new for your team, we can definitely help your team to run through an immersion day, which is basically an workshop that we work. It's hands down the technical workshop that we can deliver for your team and show them exactly how AWS services could help them in their modernization journey. And we also got a specific track, which is a Windows workload migration track, where we show them how you can migrate your Windows workload. So these are the areas where we could really help you to get started. And of course, all these 3 programs that I'm talking right now is offered to you as an incentive for joining this webinar. So these are no cost to the customer, but this will definitely enable you to get started and accelerate your migration journey fairly quick. The last option that we do have is for people who are already in the process of migrating to cloud. We can definitely take advantage of certain funding programs that AWS has put together. One of the programs is MAP, which is a Migration Accelerator Program, and we also have a program called WMP, which is a Windows Migration Program. We can talk a little bit more in detail if you guys are interested on that, but that's a program which will definitely help you accelerate your migration journey to cloud. So with that said, I really wanted to see where we are in terms of time and probably give a couple of minutes for the question and answer session. Nancy, I just want to cover a couple of.
So we only have a few minutes, but I did want to open it up to the questions that were sent in and answer some of those questions before we end the session. If there are questions that we don't get to, please do feel free to email me directly. I'll be sharing out the presentation, the link to the recording, and then answering any questions and setting up additional sessions as needed. But one of the questions, Jegadesh, was, since modernization can be time consuming, what is the best approach to modernize existing systems without completely refactoring it?
Well, that's an excellent question. In fact, as we told before, the migration or the modernization journey could be very different for you and for your application. So one of the things that we would recommend is to look at containers real quick. Well, let's split this, right? So when you talk about modernization, you can also talk about modernizing your application and the infrastructure, underlying infrastructure. One of the quick wins that you can do is leverage tools like app2container and containerize it. So basically, you're not going through doing a lot of code refactoring and rewriting your code, but you're kind of modernizing your underlying infrastructure. And once you have things on the containers, then it's easy for you to go ahead and go through and completely refactor them. So think of this as a journey and then take one step at a time and then move through up the value chain and then completely modernize your application. But I would say containers is a way to start and then look at converting .NET to .NET Core.
Okay. And then there's just a couple more questions. So is there a benefit to converting .NET framework applications to .NET Core?
Well, I'll probably take that question as well. I think there are several benefits that you would take advantage when you move from .NET to .NET Core. And one of the key benefits is when you move to .NET Core, you're really not platform dependent. You can really go through and run your applications on even a Linux platform. You're basically removing all your dependencies on the platform itself. So that's something which is significant. We see several customers take advantage of this because they really don't want to be dependent on the platform itself. And .NET Core gives you that flexibility, and it's going to help you move across platforms. And that's the way to go if you're looking at a modernization and running things on a long run. That's the way to go. The second reason why you should consider moving things to .NET Core is if you look at all Microsoft roadmaps, the investment all goes onto .NET Core, right? So .NET Core is where you will get all your latest libraries and functions you can take advantage of. So definitely .NET Core is the way to go.
I want to add something there, Jegadesh. There is one more advantage, and that is when you move from .NET Framework to .NET Core, and when you move from Windows Server to Linux, basically, you are saving, cost, licensing cost. You don't need to pay for, Windows Server licensing. Also, now SQL Server you can run on Linux. So if your application is using, SQL Server, you can also move from SQL Server Windows to SQL Server Linux probably, and you can consolidate, your operating system. Now everything you have it, on Linux.
Yes, that's a very good one, Jegadesh. And that's definitely covered as well. And that's one of the primary reasons customers move to get the cost benefit. And that's actually part of the OLA program that I was talking about. So that would kind of split up what are the cost savings that you would get when you modernize your application. That's a good one.
There's one more question. I know we are pressed for time, but is there anything like app to container in other cloud providers?
Okay, we're talking about other cloud providers?
That is correct. That question is there anything like app to container in other cloud providers?
Well, not that I'm aware of, but this is something which we can definitely get back to you. I have seen certain tools which are not as sophisticated as app to container, but Jegadesh, do you want to take that?
I haven't heard, from any other cloud provider. And again, I'm not in fully touch with, each and every cloud provider, but what I can say is app to container is one of the best I have seen, right? Out of all the tools we offer at AWS, app to container is one of my favorite tools. When first time I saw, the demo where, it can help you to migrate and containerize your legacy application within no time, right? And we are not talking about days or weeks. We are talking about a couple of hours. It was a jaw dropping for me. It can seriously accelerate your modernization efforts. So try it out.
Yep.
Okay.
Just so you know, my apologies. This is running. Actually, it's good that we shared the comment, all that. So while you guys are talking, this was running, so it would have taken me another 10 minutes just to run the process. But it's almost done. It should. I'm actually running the last step. It's running right now, and it's I just run the generate app where I deployed it to ECS. It's doing it right now as we speak.
Okay.
So if we have a couple of minutes, yeah.
For those that can stay a little bit longer to watch Abdel's last portion of his demo, we do please welcome you to stay. For those that have to go, I'll be reaching out to you shortly after the session. You can reach me directly at nancy.din@peopletech.com. If there are any other questions, please do let us know. We'd be happy to connect, set up a session to help answer any questions that you may have. And Abdel, whenever you're ready, please do.
Thank you. So yeah, while this is running, I actually had a plan B. So I'm going to show you that basically this is what I just grabbed. This is the a load balancer. I'm going to grab this. This is on my YouTube. Let me make sure if you can expand it, you can see the whole thing. So I took that load balancer entry, and I'm going to put it in on a browser. This is actually what you're going to see. You're not. Oh. I'm sorry, you're not seeing my screen?
We are not.
Oh, sorry about that. I thought it was shared. Okay, so go back to, there we go.
Perfect.
You see that?
Thank you.
Okay. So basically I grabbed, let me just run this video. So I grabbed the entry, the load balancer. See, this is not the local host. This is actually coming from the ECS. So let me just run that. And we are. This is what is going to bring up the same website, the application. Here we go. So what we're seeing here, this is application that was uploaded to ECS. We got it done in matter of. I mean, beside the issue I run into, but this was done in less than 30-40 minutes. So it's right now we're seeing the application. This is the cPanel application where we can put the SQL Server name, the database name, and all that, and should be able to install it. I'm not sure what's going on here. Here we go. So and once, because we are not using this POC to install the application, the fact that I showed you this on the local server and I was able to see it on the browser, which coming from AWS cloud. So that shows that this is doable, and it's really great. I mean, when I seen the tool first time, I was very impressed because I didn't do any type of. This is a very critical item as well. I did not change the application code. at all. I didn't touch it. It's a .NET. I didn't touch it, as well as everything that happened behind the scene. I basically ran those commands from the workshop. That's it. I did not write a script or write a template or playbook or whatever case may be. None of that, because that, if I had to do that altogether, that would have taken me a long time. Tested, validated, and deploy it. So this application did everything from me from ground up in a matter of 30 minutes. So so that's something that I wanted to show you, and apologize for that a quick hiccup there. And one more item. I got a question. Okay, we got the application up and running. What about database? Well, database is not part of app2container. App2container is what it does. App2container. It deploy your application to container, and it goes to AWS, to the cloud, right? However, you have the option to take your database and put it into RDS. RDS is really great service where you can decouple the database from the server where the application reside. You put it outside of the server, right? So you can use RDS MySQL, you can use RDS Postgres, SQL Server, or you even can take it to another level. You can use a serverless using Aurora, which is another a database a service that it's very very powerful. It creates 6 copies of your database replication on the fly, and it does the recovery, the failover, the clustering. I mean, I can go on and on. You
Abdel,
don't. Yes.
we are really running out of time. So as Jegadesh mentioned earlier, we do have a recording of the demo, and I will be sharing it shortly after we end. So I do appreciate and thank you everyone for staying 10 minutes after. Hope you found it useful, and we look forward to connecting afterwards. Thank you, Jegadesh, Abdel, for the time that you spent sharing .NET application modernization.
Thank you.